Already, actually, next slide. Alrighty, so for today's agenda, as I mentioned, we have, new staff here joining the division, as well as some new staff that are going to be connecting here with Preschool Promise. So we're going to go ahead and welcome a couple of members to our program unit team. You also get to hear from our procurement team, coordinated enrollment team, some fiscal reminders that we have as well. And then as we dive in, we have a lot of information to go ahead and share with you all as what does that award process look like as we end the program year and into a new program year. All the meeting materials and the recording will be shared by Gov Delivery. So in case you missed something, don't forget, we're going to go ahead and be sharing everything. Next slide. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Anaí Garibay. Some of you remember, or all of you remember, Angela Stinson. She was our Preschool Promise Communications Coordinator, so we're really happy to go ahead and welcome Anaí Garibay into that role. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her to go ahead and tell us a little bit about herself.
Hello, my name's Anaí Garibay. I use she, her pronouns. It's great to be here, and I'm excited to be a support to everyone. I'm recognizing a few names already of people that I've worked with out in the field already. I'm coming over from the licensing side with Office of Child Care. I've been in the early childhood education field and primary education for about 13 years total. I was a registered family provider as well. Long story short, I wanted to go to a certified family license. And when the market crashed back in 2009, it just wasn't feasible at that point. So I kind of jumped ship, went to the school district, and I kind of landed there and loved working with early childhood. And so anyway, many years later now, we're back here and I'm here ready to support everyone. So if there's anything I can do, please just, give us a shout out, or you can reach us via the Preschool Promise email. But again, thank you. And we could bring it back over to you, Dana. Thank you.
Thank you. Another member that's going to be interacting with our Preschool Promise grantees is going to be Lauren Sinman. So if we can go to the next slide. And Lauren, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Dana. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I joined the Early Learning Division team. Previously, I was a Preschool Promise provider and oversaw 4 sites ran by a school district. My work is focusing specifically on supporting K-12 or ESD run Preschool Promise programs. So I'm here to help answer questions, be a listening ear, help support any navigation between kind of the two sometimes very different early learning and K-12 systems. So any support or help I can offer to programs for K-12, I'm happy to do so. Thanks for having me and looking forward to getting to know more of you.
Awesome. And we're really excited for Lauren's position. I think when it comes to our mixed delivery program, she will definitely be helping us just how do we provide more support to our school districts and ESD. So just, keep an eye on that. I know that she has great things planned for us as we continue with our work with Preschool Promise. And next we have our procurement team. That is a full team. And, as you all may be aware of, like we're making a lot of changes. There's some new bodies, being added, and especially for Preschool Promise, we've been collaborating with this team a lot in an effort to go ahead and get things out on time. So we figure it's a really nice opportunity to have them come and say hello. So I'm gonna turn it over to Ashley.
Hi, my name is Ashley Griffin. I'm a senior contract specialist.
Adriana.
Hi, I'm Adriana. I'm our training and outreach coordinator.
Angelina.
Hi, I'm Angelina Blue, and I am a contract specialist.
Okay. And see here, Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan Stanley. I'm also a contract specialist.
And as you all can see, for some of you that have been working with Preschool Promise since the beginning, we have a full procurement team. helping us through our grant process. So we have gone from one, procurement officer to now we collaborate with all of them on a weekly basis. So we are really excited because this is really going to go ahead and help us get stuff out on time. It's going to go ahead and increase collaboration with our preschool promise grantees. Next slide. And Adriana or Ashley, go ahead.
Yeah, so we just wanted to say that as a procurement team, we collaborate with the program teams and the grant team to develop the preschool promise grant agreements. And the main point of contact is the Department of Justice to ensure that grant agreements meet legal sufficiency. So that's a little bit about us.
Thank you. Alrighty, and then another new team will be not new, but you'll be hearing from this team a lot more as we continue with Preschool Promise. It's going to be our coordinated enrollment team. I'm going to turn it over to Cass to go ahead and share more about some of that work as it relates to Preschool Promise.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to see everyone, and thank you for having me. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, I became part of a 2-person team, the coordinated enrollment team, and we are now in the deputy directors team. So we're working more closely with Serena Stoudemire, and we have been trying to get on everyone's calls and meet everyone. So this was something that I was really looking forward to today. So it's nice to see all these faces and meet new people. And a couple things that are happening is in coordinated enrollment at the division is we are going to start up some office hours. And I really encourage everyone to be able to feel free to jump on those. And we're going to use that time and work with our internal colleagues to get any of your questions answered and build a FAQ so that anytime that you have a question that maybe someone else has already asked, we will be able to share that with you in an effort to provide some more support as well as just real consistent communication. We're going to work on now that we have 2 people on board together, really kind of learn a little bit more of what the needs are in the community. So I know today that we were thinking about a poll or something, but I really want to announce that feel free to drop it in the chat. I'll put my email address in there, and please just share with me, a few hopes that you might have that that I can hear and listen and work with you as a partner as we kind of work down this path and get ready to get more kids into preschool this year. Anything I can do to support. I'm really excited to be in this role. And I think my partner Mel is on here too. So I don't want to take up all the airtime. And I'd like for you all to get to see her as well. So I'm going to pause for a second. Is Mel on here?
I'm here. This is Mel.
Good.
Good afternoon. Yep. Thanks, Cass. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mel Hanna, and I am the Coordinated Enrollment Specialist, which is actually a new position to ELD in and of itself, working alongside with Cass as the Coordinated Enrollment Manager. So I will ditto what she said, and just am excited to be here and to learn and to see how we can assist where needed. So thank you for having us.
We're really excited for Cass and Mel to be joining the team, and then just them even being here in our meeting. I think you are also going to be able to hear a lot more from them. Those office hours, they are available, and they will be available to Preschool Promise grantees too. So it's really just in our effort of just making communication easier, right? That you're not going from one person to another person to another person to get that question answered. So next slide. We are going to take, a little bit of a pause here. As Cass mentioned, we were going to go ahead and do a poll. Actually, and I apologize. Next slide. We were going to go ahead and do a poll, but we have some, opportunities here with technology. So the question that, Cass and Mel are asking are like, what are 3 improvements you would like to see in PSP enrollment, preschool promise enrollment. So if we can take like 4 minutes, we really want you to go ahead and provide you with the space to go ahead and provide some input to them. So if you can all just put that in the chat message as far as like what are 3 improvements that you would like to see, and then we'll go ahead and like, you know, turn it over to them. They're going to go ahead and do some analysis and some of those pieces. So we'll pause between now and 3:20 and then just gather your feedback here.
I'll add too, as people are commenting, thank you for all of the feedback. If you would like to be included on the coordinated enrollment office hours, and we don't have your email address, just please let us know our contact information, and then we will certainly include you, or somebody's more than welcome to forward on the invitation to you.
Thank you, Mel. And also as a follow-up to that, the FAQ that Mel and I are working on will also make sure that many of these, there's a bunch of questions popping up in the chat. So just to be clear, I'll be downloading all of those and being able to take a look at them. And we're working on a feedback loop so that we can get back to you in a timely manner and let you know some of the things that you've asked about, like if it's possible or where we're going with that or what's happening. So Dana, Crystal, Mel, and I, we've become a very tight unit of 4 lately this last couple of weeks, and look forward to kind of working through all these things. So thank you for being so generous and sharing your feedback. It's really important. And I'm really excited to read all these things. The other thing is, back to the FAQ, as soon as that's out, we will share it out with all of our partners. And as well, if there's new updates, we will try to make sure that we build in a communication loop so that everybody knows if new things are being added to that FAQ as well. So thank you again, and I'll go on mute so you guys can fill up the chat. Or feel free to verbally speak it too, if you'd like, in the 2 or 3 minutes we have.
Hello, everyone. I'm Zakay Ibrahim. 3 things that I would like to see improve with PSP enrollment this coming year is secured enrollment by the end of August so that we can prepare for our students at the beginning of the school year and have everybody on the same accord. Another thing that I put in the chat as well is a more simple application as well, or maybe a simplified one that if they're already qualified for SNAP, then it kind of excludes a lot of the other questions. So a more simple application process. And then more outreach to African and American, African descent children and families.
And is that in a certain area or all across the state?
Washington County specifically, but I'm guessing across the state, there's a lack of representation by African Americans as well.
Okay, thank you. Just thank you for that clarification.
Awesome, thank you. And it looks like we have a lot of like suggestions here for like improvements. So just know that we'll be downloading this information and then just working collaborative. I think, you know, from what you can just kind of gauge from like this part of our presentation is that there's going to be some new people here at the ELD that you're going to be hearing from in an effort to go ahead and improve just access to families, right? And in it also like improve our our support for you all as Preschool Promise grantees. So we really appreciate you all. And that's why it was really important for us to go ahead and have them come and say hello and also get in tune with Preschool Promise. So I'm going to go ahead and continue putting in your suggestions in there. We're going to go ahead and move to the next part of the presentation. So go ahead and next slide. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and talk about the 23-25 award process and what does that look like as we finish up this program year and onto a new program year. So next slide. Some of the changes that you're going to go ahead and see, and for the next part of the presentation, if you have any questions, just go ahead and put them on the chat. It is, you know, a lot of content that we're going to be sharing. If we're going to try to go ahead and answer your questions on the chat, whatever we don't answer, we are preparing a frequently asked questions document that will be sent to all of you in our GAF delivery, along with that meeting recording and the slide presentation. Some of the changes and improvements that we have made to our Preschool Promise programming as we finish up this program year is one of the changes that you'll see is that we are no longer going to have a 1-year grant. We are moving to a multi-year, 2-year grant, which we're really excited about because this is going to be providing a lot of stability for our Preschool Promise families, right? We know the families are eligible for 2 years, but we're going to be looking at entering into a 2-year grant with our Preschool Promise grantees. That's going to go ahead and reduce a lot of the confusion around this month, right? As far as like, am I in, am I out? What's the requirements? What do we need to do? So no more 1 year, we're going into a 2-year contract. And there's going to be a grant agreement review. So as you have heard from our procurement team, we have been meeting on a weekly basis on getting that agreement ready for you all. And one thing that we're going to be adding is like in previous years, you get the agreement, you have to sign right away and turn it over. We're really trying to ensure that our grantees are well informed of that of our Preschool Promise agreement and really understand what is it that you're signing, right? So in an effort to go ahead and do that, is our goal is to go ahead and release the grant agreement to you all 30 days before the signature. That's going to go ahead and give you time to go ahead and read the requirements of the grant, to go ahead and ensure that your program is ready and that you know really what is it that you are signing up for with Preschool Promise. So there is going to be a 30-day review. Our goal is to go ahead and release that agreement for signature by July 1st. And then our commitment is to go ahead and give our grantees 30 days to go ahead and read it to ensure that that is something that you want to go ahead and sign once it's ready. We're also going to go ahead and do some cleanup with our documents, right? I think as a Preschool Promise grantee, it can be very confusing when you have the grant agreement, the Preschool Promise grant manual, and the Preschool Promise Quality Requirements Playbook. That's another piece of work that we've been doing over the past months. Is now really ensuring that all of the grant requirements are on the actual grant agreement. Sometimes it was a little bit confusing to know like what's on the grant manual, what's on the agreement. How do I keep up to date with those two documents? We have now cleaned up our grant agreement and all of the Preschool Promise grant requirements are found there. By us doing that, that provides us with the opportunity to now go ahead and grab what's guidance and what's on the playbook into one manual. So both of those documents will be now combined into one, which is going to make it easier for grantees to really just only have like one guidance document or manual to reference to as in regards to like Preschool Promise. So no more like 3 documents. Now you're going to have grant agreement and a guidance manual, because now your grant agreement has all of the Preschool Promise grant requirements. We also, going back to like our programming, right? Like we are, as Preschool Promise, try to go ahead and be in alignment with like a full day kindergarten program. So as far as we did make some clarifications owner service delivery model in an effort to go ahead and provide that alignment with the full day kindergarten, and also to be able to go ahead and mitigate some of that disruptions in services that our families and children may experience when they're enrolled. The number of hours, annual hours remains the same, is 900 direct service hours. But now we're adding, there's a new clarification, no fewer than 265 consecutive calendar days between the first day and the last instructional day. And this is really for Preschool Promise. We really are trying to go ahead and follow like child outcomes from the point that the child is enrolling to the program until the end, right? So it's not, we're trying to go ahead and move away from, we meet our 900 hours and then we're done with our grant. It's really trying to go ahead and really measure child outcomes. We are expecting 3 conferences and some of those pieces, but what does that look like? So there is a clarification there that no fewer than 265 consecutive calendar days between the first and the last instructional day. The direct service hours remains the same, no less than 6 hours per day, no less than 4 days per week. As far as like that, when should the services be provided, is from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is mostly like all of our sites are meeting that. Also program closures, as far as they should not, program closures should not exceeds 21 days, right? So when we're doing spring break or any kind of holiday break, they should not exceed the 21 days. Anything beyond that will need to go ahead and have like prior like agency approval. Once again, this is an effort to go ahead and like minimize those disruptions for children who are enrolled in our program. Preschool Promise application. That is another thing that in collaboration with our hubs, and that is that the work that Crystal Garcia has been leading with Preschool Promise enrollment, is that we have launched the Preschool Promise application, and we're not gonna go ahead and be making any changes to that application for the next 2 years. Once again, in an effort, now that we're moving into a multi-year grant, also the Preschool Promise application stays the same for the next 2 years as well. And then through our workings with our grants team, currently we're using EGOMS. We're going to be adding a new grant management system to in an effort to go ahead and like make it a lot easier for you. So more to come on that as we get our a new grant management system there. Next, already. So I talk about some of the improvements and changes there. Let's go ahead and spend some time on like the grantee requirements for continuation, or as we go into this multi-year grant. There's going to be
Dana, it's Meredith Russell. There's some questions in the chat box. Do you want me to hold those till you go through the slides, or do you want to hear them now from last slide?
Yeah, if we can go ahead and hold, because I want to make sure that we go through each of the requirements here. Thank you. Alrighty, so as far as like, what are some of the requirements for this multi-year grant? So we're going to be asking all of our current Preschool Promise grantees to go ahead and submit a 2325 grantee interest form. I'm going to just go ahead and mention all these requirements, and then I'm going to go ahead and spend some time with each of these requirements here. There's going to be a site report that will need to go ahead and be submitted before we can go ahead and execute a grant. Require reports. Insurance, there's a licensing threshold if you are required to go ahead and be licensed, and then there's going to be a low enrollment threshold as well. Once again, while you may be able to go ahead and complete all of these requirements, just a simple reminder, we're also like ensuring, right, that is, are we meeting community needs as we move forward into a multi-year grant. Next slide. Alrighty, so this 2325 grantee interest form, So all preschool promise grantees will be required to go ahead and submit this form. As you know, as we mentioned, is that we want to go ahead and start this multi-year grant on the right, with all the right information. So you will need to go ahead and submit this form to go ahead and ensure that we have the right contact information, that we know how many slots do you want to go ahead and continue with, or if you want to go ahead and reduce your slots. Are you making any changes to your transportation? This form is due on May 10. It is completed, so we will be, like it says, sending this, the presentation detail to all of you so you can go ahead and get this completed. There's also been a lot of interest, especially for those programs that maybe have a wait list and they have a lot of interest in family and you in serving more families, right? So you're wanting to go ahead and serve more slots. We have added some questions at the end of the form where you will be able to go ahead and inform us if you're interested in additional slots. You know, as we share, like right now, there's no plans for reallocation. However, we know and we have been receiving a lot of interest in, like, you want to be able to serve more families, especially because there's a lot of families on the wait list. So as we continue or work with procurement, we're trying to go ahead and see what is the opportunity for us to go ahead and be able to add some additional slots in this next program year. So we're just trying to gauge interest and how much interest do we have right now with our preschool promise grantees. Once again, this form, the link, we'll go ahead and share this, and we may be able to just add it to the chat message here, the link, so then you can go ahead and start getting that filled out. If for some reason you don't want to continue with preschool promise, we know that sometimes our grantees want to go ahead and take a little break. You will still be required to go ahead and like submit this form so we're able to capture who's continuing and who's not. So please ensure that you're getting that filled out. I know that some of you have also like sent in some requests through our update and change form about like next year I want to, you know, offer services at this site and not at this site anymore. You will still need to go ahead and go through this process. So this form is asking like how many new sites are you adding and how many existing sites do we have? Next form, next slide. Alrighty, so going back to, you know, the site reports, you will also be required to go ahead and submit your site report before we can execute an agreement. This is an effort, once again, to ensure that we know which sites are going to be operating under preschool promise. What is that, you know, when is the start time, the end time, and some of those pieces. This form is completed, so we're going to be releasing that as well. And this is for all of your new sites. You will need to go, or all of your sites, including existing ones. We need to go ahead and ensure that we have the right information for each of your sites. And that's where, you know, you'll be able to go ahead and inform us. Has your SPAR participation? What is your start date, your end time? And some of those pieces. Once again, we're really looking at ensuring that we have the sites ready to go before we can execute an agreement. All of your site reports are going to be, and this is for the next program year, that's going to be due on June 20th. Now, not to be confused, we have changed the color on this site report because you have a site report for the current year. So the one that is for the next program year or the multi-year grant is a green color and the current one is purple. Once again, a site report for all of your sites due by June 20th. Next question. Next slide. Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about require reports. That is another requirement. All of our current grantees must be up to date with all required reports for up until June 20th of 2023, with the exception of your June monthly report and your end of the year report, which is not due until July 15. So just, every 16, we send you all like reminders of your report. So just make sure that you're up to date. Once again, we will not be able to fulfill that the executed grant if there's any like missing reports up until that date. If you were a grantee last year and you still have not submitted your end of the year report, it's super important that you also submit that as well. So any reports that may be passed through up until now will need to go ahead and get submitted. Next slide. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Anthony, who's going to talk to us about reports and payments.
So this is just we're kind of transitioning from the 23-25 back to like current state, current year, current right time now. So this slide is should be familiar to everyone. This information was presented in our most recent bulletin, our Preschool Promise newsletter, but we wanted to make sure that everyone saw it again. So the short of it, the long story short of this slide is, if you're missing a report, your payment won't be processed, right? It'll be rejected, and you'll need to resubmit the payment within EGUMS after you submit the missing report. You can see that there's 4 different reports that are required for Preschool Promise: the annual site report, the monthly enrollment report, from a fiscal standpoint, your budget plan, as well as then your program quarterly reports, right? One report we didn't list on there, but it relates directly with payment, is your draw report. Just a friendly reminder, in order to have your payment processed, there needs to be a draw report and the corresponding EGUMS claims, making sure that you remember to utilize the 22-23 Preschool Promise calculator to do the correct and proper splits between your general fund subgrant and your student success, the SSA subgrant. Dana mentioned just a few moments ago that we do send out a report summary to all grantees on the 16th of the month. This is a summary that shows your status on all of these said above reports, whether it's missing or whether it has been submitted. So again, you want to check your email on the 16th of the month. And if you do have any other questions or are unable to find that, please see the email, the psp@ode.oregon.gov, to send that request for clarification. So again, the short of it is, if you're missing a report, you won't be able to receive a payment until those reports have been submitted.
Thank you. Next slide. And we added this slide just for like additional resources and reporting links. So if you have not submitted any of your current required reports, you have your checklist, and then we have also added this additional slide that has all of the links to the required reports. A couple clarifications. That second quarter report, the second quarter and the third quarterly report, those are embedded within your monthly report. We wanted to go ahead and minimize you having to go ahead and find more links. So for example, like the second quarter report, which is related to assessments and screenings, that's embedded in your February monthly report. Your third quarter report, which is related to like COVID impact and equity deliverables, that's embedded in your April monthly report as well. Your site report, just to go ahead and add a little bit of clarification, like we have your current site report, which is your 22-23 site report, and that is where you're delivering services right now. Now what we're also asking, in addition to, so thank you for those of you that have already submitted your site report, but now we're also asking for like your 23-24, right? It's like, for what about next program year? If you want to go ahead and continue, where are you going to be providing services to? And we'll go ahead and take a little bit, or Kelly, when you have a moment, if we can go ahead and put the link to that interest form in the new site report for next year. that will be really helpful for those of you that want to start at least looking at the form. We're going to add this all in the next Gov delivery, but I have the feeling all of you are interested in just going through the form and start kind of like compiling all of your information together. Another clarification, the only report, all of our reporting is through Smartsheets. The only one that is not is going to be your the first quarter. That was done through Jot form. And then once again, for this next program year, for your end of the year report, that's going to be done through Jot form too. So we'll go ahead and share the links, the link to that end of the year report once it's available. Next. Alrighty, so next we have insurance, and this is the same requirement, but it's just once again, you as a grantee, like what do all need to go ahead and complete in order for me to be able to continue with this multi-year grant. So, can we go back to that slide, Kelly? Awesome. So just a little bit about insurance. So there are not going to be any insurance. We're not going to change the insurance limits for this next multi-year grant. Those insurance limits will remain the same. So for all of you who are a preschool promise grantee, it's like super important that you go ahead and connect with your insurance agent or broker and ensure that we have up-to-date insurance. So we have a system to where you're notified if the certificate of insurance that we have on file has expired. So just make sure that you go ahead and get a new one and send it to us and get it uploaded. So you'll hear from us if we need to go ahead and get that updated. But then we're also asking for you to do your due diligence. Go ahead and check with your insurance agent or broker and just make sure that you're up to date. So between now and June 20th, just make sure that we have that the most current certificate of insurance. One thing is that we have been doing a lot of work with the Department of Administrative Services and other agencies on how do we reduce barriers towards, like, in regards to insurance. One of the questions that has been coming up is like, where can I go for a list of brokers or insurance companies that are known to actually like meet insurance requirements? The Department of Administrative Services have provided us with an insurance, a commercial insurance agency resource list. I have added the link here. They are currently working on adding more providers and their more insurance agents or brokers, and then they're also going to go ahead and translate that document. But I thought I shared that with you. There's also a contact name at the bottom of that document. So if you know of an insurance agent or broker that may want to get added to the list, they can actually get in contact with the Department of Administrative Services, where they are being vetted to go ahead and see if they can be added as a resource here. Once again, we are not advertising, endorsing, or anybody on this list. It's just a way for us to be able to provide more resources to our grantees. So feel free to go ahead and check that out or connect your insurance broker or agent to the Department of Administrative Services. So once again, like on your end, we have the interest form, the site report, require reports, making sure that you're up to date with your reports and insurance, right? Those are 4 key things that are within your control for you to go ahead and, start getting ready. So then you're on the right track for a multi-year grant. Next slide. Now previous one, please. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and talk about our licensing threshold. So for those preschool promise grantees that are required to be licensed, we will be having a licensing threshold, which is going to be very similar. It's the same one as it was last program year. It says grantee must meet licensing compliance thresholds, and that means no open CPS assessments and no more than 2 serious ballots of non-compliances within the past 24 months. And the 24-month window that we're using is April 30th of 2021 to April 30th of 2023. So that is, we're going to be working in collaboration with our Office of Child Care, and then checking all of our sites and see who, ensure that if you are required to be licensed, that you meet this requirement. What happens if you don't meet that requirement at that point, or if you don't meet this threshold? ELD here with our program unit in collaboration with other units, we're going to go ahead and review each non-compliance surrounding the circumstances. And then we as ELD, depending on the situation, that's when, a decision will need to be made whether we would proceed with that site with a compliance action plan, or if ELD will not be offering 23-25 preschool promise grant agreement. One thing to go ahead and clarify is that any new sites that you're planning on adding, they need to go ahead and meet this threshold as well. So that's one thing for you to go ahead and consider if you are adding a new site. We will be reviewing that site to ensure that it meets this threshold as well. Next slide. Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about low enrollment. Well, we are seeing a lot of our preschool promise sites with, a wait list of like eligible families wanting to go ahead and enroll at that specific site. We are still also seeing some sites who are low enroll or chronically under enroll. So what we have here is grantees not meeting full enrollment requirements will be evaluated on the basis percentages that we have here on table A. And we're doing something very similar to last year, as we're looking at the number of slots that you were awarded and that percentage, right? So if you were awarded, and this is at the grantee level, not at the site level. So if as a grantee you were awarded between 4 and 40 slots, then that enrollment threshold is 50%, 41 to 60, 66%, 61, 80, 75, 81, 100, 80, 101 to 140 slots is 85%. By no, in no way are we meaning that as a grantee, you're not expected to be fully enrolled per grant requirement. We're looking to ensuring that you are serving all of your kiddos, but we also understand that there may be, we also, we had some delays in our start date. The grants were not executed in a timely fashion. We know that many of you are also going through staffing issues, and some of you are going through the, had to go ahead and go through the unopened site process. So this is really just putting some thresholds. We will be connecting, we're going to be connecting with you in the Early Learning Hub if you are not meeting this threshold, to go ahead and get a lot of information. I want to go ahead and point out that our hubs and you are already giving us a lot of information in your monthly reports that gives us information about like the number of transfers that we see, and number of families who may be declining placement, or the reasons why you're not able to go ahead and open. So those are things that we're going to be looking into, and based on those thresholds, we're going to go ahead and decide if we will continue at the same level of allocation, if we're going to continue at a reduced rate, or if we will not be able to go ahead and offer a preschool promise grant. So one thing to go ahead and note is like, okay, so which monthly enrollment are we going to be using, right? We're going to go ahead and be using like April enrollment. So as we know that we experienced a lot of like delays, so it's like, what is the enrollment in the month of April? And then we know that, there may be some delays also in getting the kiddos enrolled. And then if for some reason if you're able to go ahead and meet the enrollment threshold by May of 2023, then we're fine at that point. There's not going to be some additional data. So you will be hearing some follow-up from us We have started gathering like all of the data. I know in some cases I have already connected with individual grantees if they're chronically under-enrolled, and either connected, back to the hub or just ask a little bit more information. So just kind of keep in mind, we're going to be using April enrollment. And then if by May you have been able to meet the threshold, then we can go, then you will have met the threshold. Once again, this is in no way saying that that you're not required to go ahead and reach full enrollment. For Preschool Promise, enrollment into Preschool Promise is a continuous process, right? And then we're really just asking for grantees and hubs to be working in collaboration and just really just listen to families that they're wanting to enroll now, knowing that maybe that program sending on the first week of June, that is really their choice. But that is also another, another reminder, is that a continual process based on family need. So next slide. Alrighty, so I know that there's probably a lot of questions about what you all share. I know that Meredith has been capturing a lot of this information. Or next, as you can see, we have several different requirements and some to-dos on your end of different forms that you'll need to go ahead and fill out. So once again, you start with your interest form to let us know what is your interest in Preschool Promise for this multi-year grant. The next one, second requirement, is to go ahead and complete your site report for the 23-24 program year, right? It's really making sure that we are in sync with is the site ready to go ahead and serve children by the planned start date. Number 3 is, please go ahead and take a look. If you're missing any reports or you need any technical assistance, please go ahead and send us an email. Over the past couple of months, we've had several different staff members calling grantees to go ahead and provide support and assistance. We have Adriana, Lauren, just several different people. So please, if you're still are not sure what reports you're missing, please go ahead and send us an email. It's also a great time to go ahead and check that certificate of insurance and ensure that you are up to date with your insurance to make sure that we have an accurate like certificate of insurance, so it doesn't delay that process when we send your grant agreement for signature. And then we have the licensing thresholds and the low enrollment thresholds. So we're hoping, that we can go ahead and do some data gathering, and then we'll start reaching out to grantees and just inquiring about some additional information. On the low enrollment threshold, we'll be reaching out to the grantee and the hub and really to learn more about the circumstances around the low enrollment. It looks like we have, and just general announcements, once again, all the links for the interest form and the site report are ready for you to go and start completing, or at least for you to go ahead and start reviewing them so you can get that submitted. We do have our office hours, which the next one is going to be May 9. So you're welcome to join to do that. We have 2 sessions, one from 10 to 11, the other one from 3 to 4, English and Spanish. So feel free to join. And at any time, you can also request an individual meeting as well. As we move forward, and like I said, we're also going to be using the questions that you put on the chat message to continue developing the FAQ. Our goal is that when we send you all of these meeting materials, that you're able to go ahead and get a lot of your questions answers or provide additional clarification. Meredith, know that we probably, is there any questions that you can see, or have we covered more like general questions and it sounds that we may need to provide some clarification?
Yes, I think there's some good questions in here that we can send out in the NextGov delivery newsletter. One thing though that would be helpful is if we could get back to the slide with the links on it, or if somebody could put those in the chat box. Somebody from our team, we had a little technical issue when it came to getting those into the chat box. So hopefully one of us can do that. So this, yeah, oops.
Okay, I will go ahead and add the one for the interest form right now.
Great.
For you all to go ahead and add, so we won't close the meeting until you have that. So there's the form link. So that's the interest form that you all can go ahead and start reviewing and just, you know, gathering your thoughts for like next, this next multi-year grant. And then I'll go ahead and add the one for the site report for the 23-24 program year, not to be confused with the current one, right? This slide that we have on the screen, this is all for current reports. But this one that I'm sharing, this is for the next program year. We want to go ahead and make sure that we have everything up to date before we're able to go ahead and execute an agreement. Awesome. And we can stop sharing there, Kelly.
Just to clarify that, it looks like we have the site report for the current year in the chat box. Was there also a site report for 23-24 that you wanted to put in there?
Yeah, I already put that in there. So
Okay,
you have both of them.
Okay, so I've got that.
And
form.
data, and if you have already submitted your 22-23 site report, good job. You don't need to do anything with that, with the current one. They really just worry about that or prepare for the next one for 23-24. Yeah, we tried to finding a different name, but they're just site reports. So please, if you have already completed your site report, great job. And this is where like data becomes really important. As you may all have been aware of, like we are getting a lot of public records requests, and there's a lot of inquiries about how many sites do we have? How many slots do we have? So please, if you need help, you know, submitting your report, just get into contact with us and we'd be happy to go ahead and set up a meeting if we need to walk you through it. But that is the other piece of it. It's like we do have a lot of data requests, especially with given the size of our program. So help us by submitting those reports. We're going to go ahead and capture. Thank you all for your feedback. You know, as you can see, our team is growing, a lot of support to ensure that you are super successful with your Preschool Promise grant. So please know we're really trying to go ahead and align internally, have more cross collaboration. We're really excited about our timelines, right? We're going to continue working so then we're able to release things on a timely fashion. So thank you all for joining. Have a great evening.